Hey everyone, I want to introduce you all to our guest. We're going to have a great conversation with Michael Silva. He is a physical therapist and graduated from physical therapy school in 1998. So he's been doing it for a bit here.
You're calling me
Um,
old, Eric?
and I'm not calling you old. You've just been doing it a little bit longer than me, but I can't believe I've been doing it for 10 years. But no, 1998, I think that that's awesome. You've been in the field for quite a bit. You bring a lot of knowledge, and I think a lot of if you're a physical therapy business owner or physical therapist and you're interested in the entrepreneur space, I think you're going to get a lot of out of this conversation. So Michael's been in the space since 1998. He owned his own practice, which was multi-state, multi-site. Was very successful with that, and now he helps to coach other physical therapy business owners 99% of the time and helping them to be successful and where to go with their business. So if what we're going our topic of conversation today is going to be kind of overcoming fear and with business and making decisions and things like that. So if you're a business owner and you feel like you're constantly having this analysis paralysis where you have a problem, but you don't know what to do, and it's taking you months to make a decision, you're going to want to listen to this. This is a conversation I really feel is going to be key. So thanks for coming on, Michael. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for having me, and I'm excited to see where this conversation goes, and hopefully we'll drop a few key takeaways for listeners.
Yeah, was there anything I missed in your intro there that you'd like to cover?
Uh, no, that sums it up. I've been doing this a long time. Um, Kind of on this whole topic. 2 years into my career, I almost left the world of physical therapy. I didn't know the term back then, but I was already burnt out. And I don't think I've learned the term burnt out until the past 5 or 6 years. But yeah, I almost left. And what kept me in the profession, and arguably, I had a successful 20-year career doing treating patients and doing what I did for that long, was starting my own practice and overcoming the fear of what the hell am I going to do? So I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah. So, how would you, just curious, how would you define like fear of failure? How would you define that?
How would I define it? Oh man, I mean that my first thought is that is the definition, right?
Right?
It's in the term, but I think people fail before they even try is the first thing that comes to my mind because they're so anxious and so fearful of the what ifs or can I or what about this, what about that, and I think we mentioned the term before we recorded, analysis paralysis, right? So
Yeah.
there's this analysis paralysis, there's a fear of the unknown, there's an inconfidence into doing something new, and a little bit, part of my French, ballsy or courageous to like go out on your own. People are
Hmm.
starting. um, but you just have to, if you're passionate about it, you just have to go all in and do it, like make the decision. And it sounds, I mean, it's harder to do than just to say it.
Yep.
There's a lot of key, for me, I had a lot of key elements lined up, which was important. And I think one of the first was having a supportive partner, my wife, who was all in, and she knew, I was unhappy with being a staff PT and what I was doing. And we had a vision of building a practice, and having that support helped the fear a little bit. So people who are doing it without a supportive partner, there's that hurdle of doing it all on your own. But you don't have to do it all on your own. There's people out there that can help.
Yeah, I think when it comes to physical therapists too, like the majority of, I shouldn't say everyone, but the majority of physical therapists are all very type A personality, and it's like you've got to get it right, right? Like everything has to be perfect before you move
Right.
forward. And that oftentimes can hinder progress because nothing's ever going to be perfect. So oftentimes the best action is just to literally just take action. Like, okay, I know where I want to go. We've got a vision. Now I need to take that first step and just and go with it. And
Right.
whichever way that may be. If you're brand new and it's starting your business, it's like all right, we're gonna start my business. I'm gonna see my first people. But so many people just get wrapped up into like I don't know, so many like little nuances that really don't matter. Like I see so many things online about like questions, well, HIPAA this, HIPAA that, like so much stuff with HIPAA, and it's like if you're gonna let that hinder you from helping people, I don't know. Don't get me wrong, HIPAA is important. We need to make sure we're following HIPAA, but like
Right.
you just
But
you
it's not
kind of
that
you
hard
do
to
the best
follow
of
it.
your ability to if could you stand in a courtroom and say, yes, I did the best. Maybe you had one slip up. I did the best of my ability. Didn't understand that that was, an issue. The HIPAA police, for the most part, aren't coming for you. Um, as far as
Right.
that goes. I just feel like HIPAA, for whatever reason, stops people from like taking action. Does that make sense when it comes to
Yeah,
like
no, it
business?
doesn't. That's just one of many things that I've seen as building my career, but also helping others right now. It's things like that that they think it's so daunting, and they're so fearful of, what if the reimbursement gets cut? What if the HIPAA police come after me? Like, what if I get sued? What if this? What if
Right.
that? If you just keep listening to the what ifs, you're never going to go anywhere. So
Yep.
who is it? Wayne Gretzky's quote: "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take."
Yeah. Michael
Was that
Scott
right?
said that too.
Who did?
Michael Scott from The Office. That's just
Oh,
a
that's
joke.
right.
But yeah, what Wayne
I'm
Gretzky
gonna, I'm
says,
gonna
yeah,
give
you miss
Gretzky the
100%
credit.
of
I
the
think he
shots you
has a
don't
little
take.
more backing to it. But yeah, so yeah, there's things like that. It's these fears. One thing I hear a ton is people don't want to go off in their own business because they don't want to lose their health insurance, right?
Yep.
I don't think that when if you just do the numbers and realize with a moderately successful practice, you'll be making enough money to make up the difference of what you're actually getting as a health insurance benefit as an employee. But that I hear so many people say, yeah, I would do it, but the health insurance benefits. Well, health insurance, you can find affordable health insurance, and the difference it'll be worth your while to not stay in a job that you're miserable with just because of the health insurance or the benefits, because the benefits of your own practice that you're passionate about will far outweigh exponentially the benefit package you're getting from an employer that you might not like working for.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. So I feel like it's the same thing too when physical therapists are looking at, getting maybe a new piece of equipment or investing in help and delegating tasks. And it's like, well, I'm the best at it and I have to do it this way. Or I do a lot with red light therapy. And I feel like so many business owners I'll talk to, they like they have to look at 100 different things before then making a decision. And I find it funny. I'll talk with people and they're like, I want to set my practice up just like you. And I'm like, okay, here's how I set it up. You take it and run with it, right? Here's the equipment I use. And then they're like, well, okay, yeah, I'll look into that. And I'm also gonna look at these 100 other companies, and I'm like, you do know that with this equipment, a lot of times, so for example, like red light equipment, sometimes those like beds, the red light beds that we have, can take like upwards of 8 weeks to get in. I'm like, so by the time you make a decision, it's still then gonna be 8 weeks before it gets in, which then you're not gonna see people. And then oftentimes these people are never making the decision is what I find when it comes to that. Are you seeing the same thing?
Oh yeah, because it goes back to they're over analyzing and they're inconfident with their decision. They can't see the benefit, whether it's just by either improving the patient experience or just improving outcomes, but hopefully also improving revenue by whatever investment you're making. No, I see it all the time. Absolutely. Well, let me ask you a question. So you started your own thing. How did you get over your fear with it? If you don't mind me kind of flipping the script here and interviewing you for a
Yeah,
second.
no, I don't mind at all. I've always just been one like I'm a risk taker, I feel like. So my wife, she's more the conservative type where it's like, so I would say we balance each other out well. Um, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without her, that's for sure, and like her support. But when I see something and I want something, like I just go and do it. And that's part of me is like, I don't know, it's in my nature. Like for me to just sit back, like that eats at me and gnaws at me because I know if I don't make this decision quickly, like I'm losing so much, whether it's like I'm losing so much time, and time's such an invaluable resource. Like I don't get this time back. I don't get this like next year back, right? Like I can't get 2023 back. 2023 is gone. All I can focus on is July 23rd and forward. And so I know, like, for example, that I want to take my practice now and expand to 20 different like locations. The more I hesitate on that next hire, on where to put the next business, everything like that, like it just draws that out further.
Right.
And I feel like I blink and the quarter's over.
Mhm.
And then you say a sentence and the year's over. And it's like, what just happened? So I feel like understanding how quickly time goes by, that is I'm more fearful of losing that time and I didn't capitalize on it than anything. So for me, I guess it's that fear versus like,
But
oh
that was a
shoot, I
feeling
made a
that
bad,
motivated you, right?
what was that?
That fear motivated you to move
Yes,
forward.
I
Yeah.
allowed that fear
It
to
didn't hold you
motivate
back.
me 100%.
Perfect. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's always scary for me, but I look at two things. So when I first made my first hire in 2021, I hired my first employee. And I knew though, I'm like, I don't have enough like patience on the schedule to support her salary. I'm gonna have to build her up. But I also knew for the business to grow, I have to hire. I'm at a point right now where I can't do anything more without hiring this person. So I've got to take the risk. Business is all about taking risks, and life's all about taking risks, really. I have to take the risk, make this hire, train her enough, and believe in myself and her that she's going to be successful, and come up with a plan. Like, you can't just one cross your fingers and hope. You do have to have a plan going forward, but then follow the plan, believe in the plan, and that process has worked really well. We just launched our second location in May. I had to hire a guy for
Nice.
that to lead that location. So not only do I put my neck on the line because I'm taking on a new lease, taking on all this equipment. I'm thousands of dollars now in debt because of this expansion. Um, and then now I gotta hire a new person. I'm taking a risk because I'm putting their livelihood on the line, but I have a
That's
process
pressure.
in place. And I know though the only way to help more people though is I have to take action. Like I gotta weigh pros and cons, make sure I'm making the right decisions with who the right hire is. But once I find that person, boom, okay, you're hired. Let's go. Let's move on to the next step. Let's move
Right.
on. Let's move on and take action. So that's really what's motivated me. What do you have any personal experience where like, you know, I guess with your fear of failure and overcoming that and anything that you would like to share there?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, 2 to 3 years into my career, I was not happy. I literally got offered a job to be a medical device salesperson. I was going to leave it altogether, which I knew wasn't the right decision. But for me at the time, I'm like, well, that's my only option. And then realizing I knew I had a passion for helping people. I knew I could do things better than what I had experienced as an employee. So the fear of being miserable in a job or taking a job that I really didn't want to because I thought I had to was more fearful than the fear I had of starting a business. So at the age of 30, so it was May of 2003, I turned 30, I had my first child, and then I went fully on my own, all in to start my business. And I looked at my wife and I was like, if I don't grow up now, it ain't never gonna happen. Like we have to do this. So I didn't give myself a choice. And I put every ounce of energy. I did things a little bit different than a lot of entrepreneurs. I didn't get funding or take a loan. I just built and I made money and then I invested in a piece of equipment. I made money and I invested in a staff. So I built it slowly, which was fine for us. I needed a little bit of security. I had a new child. So it worked. If I could do it over again, I'd probably take a loan and do it a little bit faster than what I did.
I
Maybe that's
I've
another
been able
topic.
to do mine without taking a loan. Like I've got like one if I need it. I have, a line of credit and stuff like
Right.
that. But
Perfect.
like
Yeah.
Mine all started with a treatment table too, like treatment table, and then I mean I've got things on credit cards right now, but yeah, I think you can be careful with that, but I kind of did it the way that you've done it there with just slowly adding those pieces. Because you do have to
Right.
be careful too that you don't grow too fast. Because if you do grow too fast, you see about a lot of issues, with that with different businesses as
Well,
well.
also right now hiring, like it's so hard to hire quality PTs because a lot of them are leaving, and like, we all know about the staff shortage and what's going on in our profession. So to open up two, three, four clinics in 2 years and try to staff it with six, seven, eight PTs, that's hard to do.
Hmm.
Back when I was doing it, excuse me, it wasn't as hard to find PTs. Um, but yeah, some people some people don't mind that financial risk and have access to money or capital they can invest in it, which is fine. But you're right, if you do too quick, that could be harmful. I did it a way that was comfortable for me and my family, and it worked. It worked. And also kind of on that point, but slightly different. The practice I had in my career. So when I started my practice, I didn't start it saying I want to work with runners. I had a passion to be a business owner, to run a business the way I wanted to run and do what's right by the client. I found myself falling into this niche of working with distance runners, and it ended up being the rest of my career. So I coined my business as the practice that the runner built. So we had seen probably more runners in my clinics than any business that I know of. And I became a lower extremity biomechanical running expert. So it's kind of like the term, instead of going ready, aim, fire, like I fired and then I aimed. Like I wasn't that wasn't the niche I was planning on, but I found I was successful in it. It was rewarding. I liked that clientele. I had a motivated clientele, and I built a business around that niche. So my business didn't only see runners, but because we did, we attracted active, healthy,
Hmm.
motivated, fitness forward type of clients, which is what I wanted to work with. I didn't want to work with people who didn't want to be there. So every decision I made was kind of feeding that niche. All the equipment I had was appropriate for that type of clientele. The way we decorated our office, the way the music we played, our whole patient experience was for that. And I built a successful 20-year business around that. That wasn't my initial goal, right? So you have to be flexible and see where the opportunities are and seize them when they happen. So do you know, I just heard this story. Do you know that the software Slack?
Yep,
So do you know that that was not created to be a communication software for businesses?
I
The
did
guy
not
who
know
invented
that.
it was a gamer. It was basically a game. I forget the name of the game that he developed, but within the game he had this communication part to it. The game failed, but all of a sudden he was getting requests to use the game to for this communication device, and now it's what, one of the
Interesting.
top three widely used communication devices
Yeah,
for big
we
business.
we use it with my team. I use Slack every day. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
I'm
really
very
interesting
familiar with
story.
it.
If you look at the if you look at the history of it, there's a podcast called How I Built This. I forget the guy's name. He's an author, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've listened to is it like
guy, no.
how we it's not Lewis Howes, I don't think, is
No,
it?
no, it's not him.
Yeah. I've listened to the podcast though. It is a good podcast. Can
Yeah,
you
but that's
explain that? I was gonna
what's
say,
that?
can you explain on your your ready, fire, aim approach a little bit further and kind of
Yeah,
like
so
what is that?
that's just how you overcome your fear. Like instead of having everything perfect, researching every aspect of the business, knowing exactly every decision I was going to make going into it, because I think that sends you into a business venture with blindfolds on, or with tunnel vision. I just literally made that decision in May of 2003 to do this. I opened the doors. I started attracting clientele, and um, learned how to learned how to schedule properly, learned how to bill, learned how to market a little bit better. I didn't have any of those skills beforehand. I was a staff clinician. Like we weren't trained in those types of skills in PT school. I didn't learn it in my previous employers, so I learned it along the way. And then I hired a business coach and consultant to also. I needed a better business acumen. I needed my systems to be developed, and my wife and I decided we needed to bring someone in because we were starting to get really busy. And then I found this niche working in the running world. So my aim, so I had a target, but my target was moving a little bit. and then just built the practice and learned everything I needed to. If I couldn't do it, I hired someone who could. If I didn't know how to, I got extra training or coaching to figure it out, right?
Yep.
And then what I realized is it's not that scary as long as your ego doesn't get in the way. Like you can't do this on your own. And like I said, I can't tell you how important,
I,
like you
I
mentioned
I
your
I
wife,
love that right there, what you just said of like that you talked about if you didn't know how to do something, you hired someone to do it, you're delegating tasks and that you can't do it on your own.
right?
100% agree with that. Like, especially like as you're growing, like you, as the owner, you need to know how to do these different tasks, but you can't do everything. And I'm like realizing that more and more every day. It's like, if I want to be able to spend time with my daughter who's 10 months old, right? Like, I've got to delegate tasks. I
You
didn't go
have
to
to.
marketing school. I know how to market pretty darn well. But at the same time, I'm getting to the point in my business like I need to hire someone to just take on all the marketing.
Right.
If you are the CEO of your business, um, there's a Patrick Lencioni. I don't know if you read anything from Patrick Lencioni. I see you got a bunch of
Never.
books behind you right there, but he's got a good book on I think the motive is what it's called. So the motive by Patrick Lencioni. I would recommend that book where he talks about, the main function of a CEO is to really delegate. Like you have
Right.
meetings all day and you delegate who's best at what, holding people accountable to what they're supposed to be doing with their numbers and everything like that. Um, and helping to have just this vision, and does everything that you're doing go into the vision. And that's really what we've done with at my business, where our thing is around athletes and active adults, same thing as like kind of runners, those fitness forward people.
Right.
So we don't really market towards I'm not going to market vertigo. I'm not going to market, and not to say that that's not a huge niche population. If your thing's vertigo, like target everything vertigo, target
Right. But
everything
it's
Parkinson's disease, but I'm not
right.
going to
But
hit.
it's not your niche. It's
It's
not
not my
your thing.
niche.
So
Correct.
another phrase is everyone is not your customer, right? Everyone
Correct.
is not your client, but you know who it is, and you're like, and I like what you said too, which I think is extremely important. If you don't have a good vision or mission statement on what you're actually doing and hire with people that totally believe in it, and every decision you make is pointing you towards that, then that's when people get lost.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and when hiring, what we do is we follow a like traction, the book traction, if you're
yeah,
familiar with that.
stuck there
So
somewhere.
I tell all my employees about my vision, and I'm not afraid to share my numbers on what I want to hit. Like I've told them I want to hit $100 million in revenue by 2030. It's a very lofty goal. But it's important that people know that and they know the niche, so that way everyone is on board. Everyone's pulling in the same direction because we're all going to move forward together, versus if I'm pulling this way and this guy's pulling over here and this person's pulling this way, you're going nowhere. Like
No,
you all have to be focused and have the same goals in mind,
right.
which is just super super important.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't share enough of that, thinking like it's their little secret. But if you want a team that's like, for lack of a better way to describe it, that's drinking the Kool-Aid, right? And believes in you and your mission and your vision, you need to share that information.
I think people will feel guilty a lot of times, like they have a fear of being maybe like self you get into healthcare to help people, and then if you're feeling guilty though about like wanting to say make money and make a living and things like that,
Right.
I I tell my employees like my goal in business, my goal is to get wealthy. My goal is to help other people 100%. Like that's the number one goal is I want to be able to help people, but I do want to get wealthy along the way. I want to have freedom of time and money. I don't want to have to worry about like going on vacation and can I afford that vacation? I work my butt off to be able to help other people. And likewise, I think the great thing about America and where we're at is like you should be rewarded based on that, right? And so the same thing goes for my employees. I'm like, if you want to make more money, let's make more money together. We can do this together. I can help you. At the same time, if you're okay with like where you're at, okay, like that's fine. But if you want more, hey, how do we get you to hit your goals? And
Yep.
that's when I feel like, I mean, there's just this snowball effect and we all can grow and hit our goals together.
Right. And it's on that point, there's some people who aren't motivated for that, who just want a secure, safe, stable job. They want to be able to, you live a moderate lifestyle, which is awesome. And there's a lot of those people out there, and they can be some of your best team members. There's the other ones who are maybe a little bit more motivated by money, but don't have the risk tolerance that you do and don't want to do their own thing, but that there's a way that they can take that next step up in income, make a little more money, make you a little more money, kind of ride your coattails and your mentoring, then it's a win-win for everyone. So there's a spot in everyone's company for all those people.
Yep.
And you as the leader seeing that and knowing how to motivate them is the key.
Exactly. I
Right.
completely agree. Um, I really appreciate your time here. This has been an excellent conversation, and we're definitely going to have to do this again. Where is the best? How can people find you? What's the best way for them to find you?
Best way would either be on LinkedIn, if you just look up Michael Silva or Michael J Silva Consulting.
Cool.
My website is Michael J Silva, and I'll spell it out because I am from Rhode Island, and people think that my last name is Silver, and I just don't pronounce my R's because I'm from Rhode Island, but it's Michael, then the letter J, Silva, Michael
Yeah, and
J.
we'll put that in the so if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify or anything like that, we'll put this in the description. So be sure to check that. And you can click on that link and go right to Michael's site there and contact Michael. So thank you
Yeah,
so much
absolutely.
for your time here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Awesome. We'll talk soon, Mike.
All
Bye.
right, take care.